were you guys feeling otherwise? How the hell did that break? What are you depressed about? Jesus loves little children. What are you depressed about? Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. No, he don't mind baptism. Really? Like you just found out? Is that why you're depressed? I'm not going in. I'm just curious. Is that the reason why you're depressed? Oh, okay. Nope, it's been 9 years. Oh, okay. What's up, Mark? I was just about to go outside and here you go. Oh, shine, Jesus, shine. I'm gonna start singing, actually. But anyways, I was just thinking how, like, I was on my way back from the gym, and I was just thinking how there's just really no point to any of this shit. Like, we're just here. Like, we are just here. We just exist, and we're just here, and then one day something's gonna happen, and you're gonna get sick, suffer, and then die, or you're just gonna have a sudden illness, just drop dead, get hit by a car. Stop! I just got feeling overwhelmed. I mean, I just, what's the best way to go? I don't know. I don't know shit. I ain't dead. I ain't dead, and then come back to tell you what, what's the best way to go. But I will tell you that, like, in a way, it's kind of liberating. And I think that one of the reasons why I'm kind of like, why I've been kind of depressed lately, I wouldn't say depressed. I would say why I've been kind of like just moody lately is because I'm like, man, I really wish I would have known this when I was like 19 or 20. Like when I was 19 and 20, I was so naive And I was just so blinded and so deluded by this idea that there's some purpose, there's some rhythm and reason to all of this. And I literally was playing out this narrative in my head that all the things that I was doing was leading to this purpose, that the universe was conspiring in my favor to bring me to this ultimate place in life, and that once I get this one thing, then everything else will just fall into place and life will just be so magical and all the mysteries of the universe will be unraveled, and then it would just all make sense. Quan, is your wife's family in Chicago? Are you all spending holidays with them? Yeah, yes, they are. Um, but we're not doing anything though. So my sister-in-law is going over to her husband's. They're doing something on my brother-in-law's side, and then my we were technically invited to go over to somebody's house, but my wife we not doing none of that. But later on this weekend, my mother-in-law is cooking, but I'm not going over there. I'm not a really big like Thanksgiving person because I'm gonna be honest with you, Thanksgiving food is nasty, and I hate when people cook typical ass Thanksgiving food. Like I'm not finna go over your house for hours and just subject myself to eating some bland ass nasty shit. Cause Thanksgiving food is just so overwhelmingly underwhelming. If that makes any sense. Like it's just okay, but it's just like a lot of just a whole bunch of just stuff on your plate. Mac and cheese, stuffing, dressing, whatever, turkey, cranberry, and I mean, I'm just green beans, collard greens. To me, that shit is so basic. Since we're Mexican, it's a holiday we only randomly decide to celebrate. I think people just cook the cook and don't make it taste good. I mean, I mean, even when my mom cooks, my mom is a pretty great cook. And I've just never really been a fan of it. I'd rather us do like ribs or like, buffalo wings or deviled eggs. I mean, just make up a whole bunch, bring a whole bunch of party platters, sandwiches, mini sandwiches, whatever. Even the holidays have lost meaning. I was just telling my wife how, like, the holidays, when you think about it, we're just doing the same shit. All we are doing is just, our lives are just, every year is the same shit. We're just centered around these random holidays throughout the year. Like, the year starts off with New Year's Day, and everybody's in this weird festive spirit. They try to knock out some goals and talk about what they're going to do this year, and then you're going to have your birthdays and your anniversaries, and eventually you're going to get the Memorial Day weekend, and then eventually it's going to be um, July the 4th. Then, well, Labor Day doesn't really count, but then like Halloween and then Thanksgiving and Christmas. And everybody is just on this script of, like, they're just acting like every year is something new when it's not. It's just the same old shit. The only thing is, and really what makes these holidays very sentimental, is the fact that as you get older, the people who you grew up with, everybody gets older, and then people start dying. You start celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving and all these holidays without a grandmother or a mother or aunt because they passed away the year following, but it's just, and then but what happens is, after a year or two, it ends up you adopt to a new normal, and now you go a decade or two doing the same shit with the same set of people, until eventually this person dies, and then you adopt to the new normal, but new to adopt to the new normal, but new different set of people, or some other people come along and kids get older, and it's the same shit. We're just watching each other get old and die. And then, like clockwork, every year you get on Facebook, everybody says the same shit. This the first year without my mom. This is the first year without my dad. It's not the same. I don't think I could do anything this year, and I don't think I can. I'm like, okay. Oh, it's the first year. Oh, I'm feeling a certain type of way. And then what I don't get is, why do people get on Facebook and they say this shit as if they're the only people that go through this? Like, they get on there and they type this shit out and they're just like, okay, bitch, you are like, you're the only person that has gone through a death in the family. You're the only person who, you act like, you really act like you're the only person going through this type of pain. Oh, Facebook is for old people. I know. But I'm just saying, though, that, like, I see all it was old people and niggas. But that shit, after a while, I'm just like, this shit is the same. It's the same shit. We just doing the same shit. It really is. When white people complain online, they have to hear their racist family members, but sit there in silence. Oh yeah. But and then that's another thing, the Black Friday thing. Everybody rushing out to go get gifts and shit. I'm like, it's all the same. It's the same shit. We're just doing the same shit day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. And then it's the same line of questioning. Oh, how such and such, or oh, you got what? Oh, okay, okay. But life in general, though, I'm just like, there's no point to this shit. There's no point. We're just doing the same shit. We're just waking up, and we just, I mean, like, you can't even watch TV or movies anymore because I'm just like, what am I watching? Like, it doesn't even hit the same anymore. You watch TV and you're like, okay, alright. Same shit, you know? Nope, I don't see the point of living in 70 either. I'll tell you this, though. I'm going to be honest with you. If you really want my hot take, if I lived in an alternative timeline, if I didn't meet my wife, I'll tell you what I would do. I would not get married, and I probably would just move to Thailand or go to Colombia and just get high and have sex with prostitutes. Pop Viagra. And then I'll probably fuck around, mess around, live life, travel around. Then I'll come back to the States. I'll probably get me some, you know. I literally, I think, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't think that, I mean, there's nothing else to do. I mean, and then, okay, let's say I do get a little girlfriend, but we would not get married. And then I'll be like, look, let's go to a sex party. Let's go to a club. Let's go swing. Let's go try some weird shit. Cause what else is there to do? Really? Let's go swing. Shorty swing my way. Shorty look good to me. You said they're fun. You just gotta strap up. Oh, you been to the Dominican Republic? Dominicana. And see, that's another thing. Yeah, okay, I'll strap up, but I eventually might have to. I need to feel that pussy. But anyways, that would be my alternative timeline. Because it's like, what you do? You're just gonna get married, have kids, and just spend the rest of your life just doing the same shit. You're just gonna be chasing around a whole bunch of kids. And then, okay, you got kids now. Y'all go to Disney World. You go to motherfucking to the water parks. You watch them sing in their recitals and shit, and you just watch them get old. You watch them do the same song and dance. I mean, it's just. And then the thing that blows my mind, like we as humans, like the older I get, the more I realize, like, wow, like we really think we are special. We really think we are special. Like human beings are some very egotistical, deluded as species. Like I don't think people even understand just how vast and like like incomprehensibly vast the universe is. Like there are more galaxies in the universe than grains of sand on the earth. Put do you guys not understand this? That means that in the grand scheme of things, we're just like little tiny specks on a fucking rock flying through space in just one galaxy out of hundreds of billions that we can see with our most up-to-date technology. And then we can only see about, is there intelligent life though? We don't know. The likelihood that there is. There could be aliens right now walking around this bitch that we could be living in an alien simulation. We don't know. The human brain is very limited. And let me tell you, people are out here taking for granted the fact that you just assume that religion is true. And it's so stupid. Listen, do you know there are more extinct religions than the ones that are currently being practiced? And then there's a documented what 8 to 12,000 religions on the planet. Who's right? Who's wrong? And then everybody's just battling over this dumb shit. My God. And then the worst is when people, they're so knee deep in religion and they are so convinced that the Bible or the Quran or whatever they adhere to, they just assume it's the right way. And then the thing that blows my mind about religious people, like you believe in a God and you pray to a God, but he selectively answers prayers. Like God healed your body, but you inevitably die. You ever think about this for a second? You see all these people on TV like, oh, God healed my body. Oh, Lord, sha. In the name of Jesus. You doing all that. They swear they getting their bodies healed and shit, but you still die. You still get old and you still die. So what body was healed? Tell me. So God just temporarily healed your body? You have got to be a dumb ass person to believe that. Ooh, You really believe that? You really believe that? He said, "Why attack people?" It needs to be attacked because it's stupid. You can't just believe whatever. I'm sorry, but you just can't believe whatever the fuck you want to believe and just expect people to be like, oh, okay, well, you get to believe whatever you want to believe. You just gonna let me walk around here believing that there's pink unicorns in the sky, that doo-doo gold coins, and if I eat those gold coins, I'm gonna live forever, and I want to develop wings and fly out. That's no different than Christianity. Motherfuckers out here are literally spending half of their damn life savings giving it to a damn church that is telling them that there's a white Hebrew in the sky in some different dimension that then died 2,000 years ago, was crucified, died, was in a cave for 3 days, and then went to hell, got the keys to the kingdom, whatever the fuck that means, came back from dead, walked around for a couple of weeks, was like, yeah, I'm going to teach y'all some other shit, tell you what I saw, what I heard, and what the and blah, blah, blah. And then he just poof, disappears. Like, what? I'm coming back. So apes turn into human, even though we still have apes around. Isn't stupid? Oh my god! I don't know why you all love having this argument. I don't know why. Well, I don't understand why people like that. This is not how evolution works. We share a common ancestor with all primates: chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans. You did not evolve from apes. You evolved from Australopithecines, homonyms, about 6 or 7 million years ago, the earliest documented homonyms. We have actual archaeological evidence. We have bones. Bones. We actually have bones. We have literally found millions of bones all scattered throughout the earth of all of these different early human ancestors and other primates that existed 3, 4, 5 million years ago. Like you can't just sit back and just pick and choose which aspects of science you want to believe in because it doesn't suit whatever weird ass fairy tale narrative you have in your head. And what blows my mind is people are like, you're on TikTok right now using technology, right? Technology is we only have technology because about 600, 700, or I would say about 500 years ago, some white people in Europe started thinking, you know what, let's come up with some methodologies and ways of collecting evidence to prove certain hypotheses and test doing certain things. And this is how you come up with experiments. This is how you prove that such and such and such. It's called the scientific method. Everything you have is a result of the scientific method. Now we're talking about 500 years later, we have all these sciences: chemistry, physics, engineering, mathematics, astronomy. Yeah, it's documented we come from Homo erectus and hominids. Well, I don't know if we don't come from Homo erectus. There was different types of human um, offsprings of Australopithecines. So you had Homo erectus, you had Homo habilis, you had what do you call it? Um, Homo rudolfensis. It was like at least 30 or 40 different human species. Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo sapiens. We literally spawned about roughly 300,000 years ago. We have found the earliest evidence of Homo sapiens bones in somewhere in Morocco. I forget the exact location of Morocco, but we have the bones, people. We got the bones. We done did the damn carbon backdating. We know exactly how old these bones are. There's no need to deny this. Can't deny it. Why even deny it? It's the truth. And then somebody says, well, why do apes still exist? Because there's It's not how evolution works. It's natural selection. Is that the book you read, Sapiens? I mean, Sapiens does go into detail about this, yes, but you could just go on what do you call it? Just go on YouTube. Just type in documentaries about human evolution. That's a good book. Sapiens is a good book. That is a good book, Sapiens. But listen, if you don't want to go down that rabbit hole, just go on YouTube and trust me, it's like a million documentaries about human evolution. YouTube, let me tell you, if you really want to get educated, just type in the whole. They got documentaries about everything on YouTube. Okay, motherfucking listen. Just go on YouTube, type in human evolution. Trust me, you're gonna find so many great documentaries. So many great documentaries. You're gonna learn so much from YouTube. And it's not people creating this shit on their own in their basement. No, these are actual science documentaries by PBS and actual universities and research institutions. They're presenting to you the evidence. I'm telling you, y'all, it's not this. We are fucking. Listen, we ain't no different. We are just apex predators. Okay, we are apex predators. And listen, it wasn't always that way. At one point in time in human history, we were actually in the middle. We were actually being actively hunted down by other predators in our environment. We had to fend off saber-toothed tigers and shit, and motherfucking woolly mammoths, and human beings used to get hunted down by other predators. But after a while, we got smart. Our brains got bigger because of cooking, and we started creating weapons, and we just got really smart, and we started dominating our environment, and we moved up the food chain. But I'm telling you, we ain't no y'all. But this is what I'm saying though. Like, you're just a fucking dust particle on a rock. And the beauty behind that is that truth be told, if we're gonna be honest, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, so long as you got the means to do it. Fuck it. If you want to go out there and smoke a little, Tina, go ahead and waste a couple of brain cells. Go ahead and just, get your little pipe, you know, load that motherfucker up, and just blast away. I personally wouldn't recommend that if you don't want to have it. I mean, you want to have a long-term, good quality of life. But thank God for our brain. God didn't create our brain. God did not create our brain. Sir, that is what we call natural selection. That is what we call environmental pressures, natural selection. What we started doing was we started cooking. When we created fire, we learned how to use fire, and then we started cooking our plants and our food, and we were able to extract more nutrition from our food, and that's what contributed to us getting bigger brains. Had we not fucked around with fire, if we didn't fuck around with some fire and learn how to cook our food, your ass would be right now somewhere in Africa, East Africa somewhere, or somewhere in Central Africa. You would have been climbing trees. You would have been, occasionally crawling on your damn all fours. Yeah. You talking about you do that now? Yeah, I'm telling you. Average life average life expectancy, yeah, because and then you would have seen some you would have got you some of that Australopithecine pussy. You wouldn't even have to ask for it. You just go up to her, go doodle, go, You would have shot that skid up in that Australopithecine pussy. Because that's what your ass would have remained being. And all you would have just done, and literally, you would just spend all years. Why do you think Europeans aren't developed, Africans aren't developed compared to Europeans? You think it's low IQ? Yes, it is. Um, and people will try to argue this up and down, but um, and people will say, "Oh, this is alt-right propaganda. You're just peddling right-wing talking points. You're just." I mean, granted, it's a multifactorial situation, and you can't deny Europe's role in colonization of Africa and contributing to their underdevelopment and stuff. But intelligence does play a role, though. It does. Have you read Gun, Germs, and Steel? What does it say in that book? Everybody keeps talking about that book, but does it make mention of IQ, or does it talk about that IQ is um, some sort of just way of measuring intelligence that's westernized and Europeanized? Because a lot of these liberals, a lot of these beta liberal academics, they love downplaying this shit. They love being like, oh my god, it's race based science, it's eugenics, and it's not true. And all right, we'll take your ass to Africa then. Go over there and live there for the rest of your life. They love talking all that shit. Take your ass, go over there, go live over there. I bet your ass, give it a year. Oh my god, those people are different. Oh my god, yeah. I seen some things that I I appreciate my life in America. If it's just low IQ, how come some Africans move here and just well? Well, here's the thing. I think people don't really understand how IQ science works. It When it comes to IQ distribution, it doesn't mean that all of people who of a particular ethnicity or ethnic group are low IQ. What it means is the median distribution, or like the average, is pretty low compared to others. There are outliers though, and there are different subgroups that have higher IQs than others. Like there are regional differences, like even amongst sub-Saharan Africans. Um, Most of the people who end up immigrating to America, legally at least, um, those are the smartest people in those countries. Usually they come from middle class backgrounds. And that's the case for most legal immigrants in America. I can't speak for the illegal people. But when you're going through the legal process of coming to America, usually you're talking about people who pretty much are middle class in those different countries. And it's the same thing in India, Africa, parts of Asia, the Middle East. Usually it's more middle class people. That's why a lot of those countries they experience brain drain, because all the educated middle class people are leaving and they're going to Europe, they're going to the UK, France, Germany, Norway, Denmark, they're going to Canada, United States, because they ain't trying to, because they just want, if we're going to be quite honest, they still got some shit over there that's a bit backwards. I have not been to Africa, but listen, I don't need to go there to know that it's not going to be the same like the United States. Yeah, sure. Are there a few cities that are developed and that certain parts of those cities look comparable to being somewhere like in Miami or Fort Myers or I don't know, LA or San Diego? Yeah, maybe certain aspects of it, but for the most part, no. No. And we got to stop being in denial about this. Everybody keeps using that argument too. I'm like, yeah, that's just one part of a city, you know. But ain't nobody, oh, hell no. Going to no damn Africa. And then people talk all that shit, but go over there. Just go over there. All these, and every time I bring that argument, bring this argument. See, black folks be in denial. That's the other thing. Like, there's this dude, he made this video, and he was driving around the south side of Chicago in this area called Pill Hill. And I don't know if you're from Chicago, but Pill Hill, yeah, it's supposed to be the more bougie, you know, neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, but it ain't nothing to write home about. It's just a bunch of basic ass houses that just the people just manage to take care of their damn lawns and shit. But niggas, they out here flexing like that's upper class, that's middle, like that's upper middle class. And I'm like, yeah, when you coming from the slums and you dealing with you and your nasty ass nigga neighborhoods and you trashing in the place and you got fucking dilapidated buildings and empty lots filled with motherfucking syringes and crack vials and condoms and beer bottles and McDonald's wrappers and trash and shit all over the place. You got dope boys hanging out and you got liquor stores and yeah, you gonna think going to just a normal neighborhood is all upscale and whatnot. Because you coming from the slums, you coming from the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. Then they got mad at me in the comments of the video because I commented. I was like, this ain't nothing to write home about. Like, I live in the suburbs. Because it was like, it's just like the suburbs. I'm like, nigga, no, it's not. What are you talking about? This is the problem. Black folks, y'all need to get around white people. You need to get around some white people. And not no everyday white people. Get around real white people. Your world will quickly change. You will start to realize it's a whole different world out there. And a lot of black people don't realize they don't want you in there. They don't. Because even where I live now, the suburb that I live in, I'm telling you, that shit is 99.999999999% white, upper middle class. And we ain't talking about houses worth $4, $5, or $600,000. We're talking about average median home price is $1 million plus. $1 million plus. And that's just basic. The next adjacent neighborhood that I live next to, Hinsdale, we're talking about houses averaging $2, $3, $4 million. That I'll agree. Their eyes will always give them away, no matter how much fake smiling they do. Yeah, exactly. I'm the only black person in my neighborhood. I moved to an all-white community. That's what you got to do. You have got to get around from niggas because I'm telling you, your perspective will definitely change, and you'll quickly realize, like, damn, your ass was living in the ghetto. Gotham City for the ghetto, ghetto. Gotham City for the ghetto, ghetto. I ain't got no money. I ain't got no friends. Looks like my world is coming to an end. That's an R. Kelly song. Honestly, I moved out of South Central because it was horrible. I live in a nice part of town. You from South Central? Oh man, let me tell you. Let me tell you something too. See, I don't live on the south side of Chicago, and let me tell you when. And I know I'm gonna sound crazy saying this, but listen, you can call me a coon, Uncle Tom. You can say I'm self-hating. When you really live around niggas, when you really live around niggas, You do that for a long time, you gonna realize you ain't gonna never want to go back to that. Because what you're gonna realize, they are the problem. It ain't them white folks. It's them niggles. They, like what you said, Mark. You said, um, well, Angel, you said it's crazy because now when I go somewhere and see a lot of black people, I feel out of place and I'm like, yeah, I feel that. Let me tell you, I'm not from South Central. I didn't know they live like animals. Yeah, exactly. They be running red lights, acting crazy, loud, fighting, yeah, stealing, shoplifting, all that shit. All of that. The shootings, the gunshots. When I live on the south side of Chicago, every weekend, or not every weekend, every other day, I hear gunshots. Like it was nothing. Like, they really, I now, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. I know I'm going to sound crazy saying this. But if I was white, I probably would be a racist. If I was white, I probably would be a racist. Because niggas make it way too easy to hate them. I'm dead serious. They make it way too easy for you to be like, I don't want to know you. I'm telling you, I probably would be a racist. Same, because these young niggas are out of control. All that, just even the way they carry themselves, the tattoos, the dress. I mean, they don't even look like they even bathe. Lock them up. Exactly. I'll be honest, there are Baldwin Hills and other nice black areas. I've been there. That shit ain't nothing to write home about. Listen, put me around the white folks. I don't want to be around no niggas. Put me around white folks. That's why I'm saying, if I were to move to California, I'm going to Orange County. I'm going to motherfucking I am going to motherfucking Orange County. I am going to motherfucking, right, $20 green smoothies and shit. The right folks, white folks. Listen, Fox News Black. I've been to Ladera Heights. I've been all up in that shit. Baldwin Hills. I've been, listen, man, I'm trying to tell you. I need to be around white folks. I don't give a fuck if they got a little bit of money. And then they got them old ass houses, them old ass civil rights houses. That's another thing too, especially here in Chicago. I'm like, this dude was bragging about Pill Hill. I'm like, nigga, them old ass houses that haven't been updated since Martin Luther King Jr. got shot in the head. Nobody trying to live in that old ass shit. I'm trying to go to motherfucking, where they call that? Oh my god, Laguna Beach. I used to go there all the time. Crystal Cove State Park. Newport Beach, yeah. I need to be around Republicans. I need to be around white people that pay a lot of money in taxes. I need to be around. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd rather live around racist white people before I live around niggas. I'd rather go in the grocery store and get stared at than to be going to the hood, 79th Street. I don't deal with nigga neighborhoods no more. You got that shit. That shit is mental health. That shit will fuck up your mental health. It truly would. That shit will mess up your mental health. You would. I'm telling you. It's too much going on in the black community for me. It's way too much. Way too much. And the problem is when normal black people try to, move to certain areas and have nice shit. See, a lot of normal black people are nigga apologists. They are trying to Well, we're all together. We're all unified. No, we're not. Leave them niggas alone. We need to bring back classism in the black community. We need to bring back a form of segregation where some black people just need to be let them go off and do their own thing. Let them let them stay in the hood. You can't come in. There's a dress code. You don't belong to this society. Are you a member? Are you paying them? Like we need to bring back social clubs that reinforce these types of high standards. You can't come in. Yeah, we might have to bring back the brown paper bag test. And maybe yeah, Jack and Jill type shit. And if it ain't, if it ain't, and it won't be based on color anymore. It's gonna be based on do you got them dreads, you got them tattoos on your neck, is your body tatted up, you, you tatted up, you got them dreadlocks, you got them shit locks, you especially in Florida, these dudes they look crazy. They have all that gold teeth, all them tattoos, and that one big ass dread, and they just that shit be all over the place, and they look crazy, and they always reek of weed. Are you too big to be in their society? Probably. Well, that probably, to be honest with you, no, not necessarily. I don't think weight matters as much as people make it out to be in the way that class and education and just your overall, um, like your addiction, the way you talk, that will take you very far. Like if you have a black scent, I would honestly suggest going to take some diction classes to really work on that. I low key had to work on my accent. At one point, I had to really work on that because I sounded kind of, niggerish. I had a little twang to it. Day. Yes, they is. Day, day. I was asking my friend today. I was like, if you had a name like Sharquisha, would you actually go and change it? I really think that's another thing that black people need to start doing. Like some of these black names, I get rid of that. I would be like, I would go and legally get my name changed because it makes no sense why somebody would do that to their child. Like, why would you do that? Why would you go and name your child something so ridiculous? Like, and then it just sounds so stupid when the name rolls off your tongue because you're just like, I'm like, no wonder these resumes are getting thrown in the damn garbage can. Yeah, they hate their children. Right, exactly. They named it based of how good it sounds when they yell at their kids. Yeah, like I'm telling you, if you go black center name, I'm telling you, that shit don't. Sharquisha, Tramikia. Listen, I read a story. You remember that movie, or that series that came out on Amazon that was written about the Beehive? I forgot the name of it. But one of those girls, one of those strippers, in real life, her name, yeah, Ponisha. Ponisha. Did I did I tell this story? Oh my God. Did I tell this story? That was her name. Ponisha. 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 There's no other way you can say that name without sounding black. Because the alternative is it's gonna sound like your name is being called. You know what? Let me find out we're thinking about the same Ponisha. Didn't she get in trouble though? It was the four women. It was four of them. No, you do know her because that story took place in Memphis. I think they were from Nashville or from Memphis. Ponisha Beach. Where that beach? The fuck? Well, I forgot the exact. Yes, yes, yes. I know her. Is she out of? Are they out of jail? Did they really get in trouble? Because I think in this they ended up robbing and killing a dude. I forgot exactly what ended up happening. She was locked up. Yeah, exactly. Oh, she's home now. Ponisha. And the way her name was spelled, it was so ghetto. Sharquisha. Like there's no other way you could say these names without sounding like that. Marquisha. Sharkeisha. Tromisha. Tronisha. Troynisha. Like, why would you do that? Why would you name your child that? People say, "Oh, well, that's creativity." No, that is not creativity. People take pride in those names. I know. Like, why not just give somebody a basic name like Michelle, Samantha, Rebecca, Tracy, Tiffany, Deborah? No, they gotta go for Taekwonisha, Amanda. Exactly. You found historical. Yeah, I knew it. I'm telling you, I read that crazy. It was they actually made a series out of it. They made a whole series about it. It was on Amazon. Ponisha. And it was another girl in that group. She had a crazy ass name too. It was four of them. Oh, you know all four of them? Oh, damn, Angel. Where are you from, babe? But yeah, you gotta escape. You know, I told you I'm from Memphis. Oh yeah, yeah, Memphis. Yeah. You gotta, if you're a black woman, you gotta do like what Eve did. You gotta go out there and you gotta change your whole aesthetic and go get you that white man. Get you a rich white man. Thank you so much, Shoemaker Levy. Thank you so much, Ian Gitchell. Get you that white man. Okay, or get you an Asian man. Either way. And don't worry about the dick. Do not worry about the little dicks. I can almost guarantee you. It was called Swarm. That was the name of it. My dream is a rich man, don't matter the race. What's your How are you?
Hi, Quan. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
How was your day?
Um, I was writing. I've been working on this story called "My Baby Daddy Stole." No, my baby daddy is a vampire.
What did you do today?
I was writing. I worked on the book called "My Baby Daddy is a Vampire." Can you hear me?
You know what? I think a couple days ago, I asked in the comments whether or not vampires were real, and you said no. But I want to believe that vampires are real. Because if they're not real, how are we able to know about vampires?
There actually is a really good um, medical reason for that, and it's weird because I actually did a science project about this when I was in high school. So there's this medical condition called porphyria, and it's a blood disease. And what it ends up doing is, well, there's a multiplicity of reasons that contribute um, to the um, to vampire lore. But one of the most compelling reasons is that it's a disease called porphyria. It's a blood disease. I forgot exactly what ends up happening, but also, um, I think some people have made some connections between rabies and it's a number of things. But actually, now I want to read this to you. I want to read this. Hold on for a second. This is what I started working on. So the story, it starts in 1567 BCE in ancient Nubia, and I actually
Okay.
think Queen would like this. I think Queen would like this. Hold on for a second, because I think she's into like fantasy stuff. Hold on for a second. Let me pull this up. Give me a moment here. You still talking to that white man?
Okay. Well, let's. I want to know about what your story is first, and then I'll tell you about that.
Okay. All right. Just give me a moment here. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Tadaru had always been a place of contradictions, a village that thrived on the bounty of the Nile, its people strong and proud, their heritage older than the pharaoh's pyramids. But that was before Pharaoh Sekhemkare turned his gaze south, before his armies came with iron weapons and golden promises of peace that bled into chains and taxes. Now, the Nubian city of Tadaru stood as a broken reflection of what it once was. Its markets were empty, its fields stripped bare. The laughter that once filled the square was gone, replaced by the heavy silence of fear. The pharaoh soldiers patrolled its streets, bronze armor glinting in the unrelenting sun, their presence of a constant reminder of who ruled the land. And on this day, fear had reached its peak. They had built the platform in the center of the square the night before, a rough, splintered thing hastily thrown together, but its purpose was clear. It was a stage for judgment, for punishment, for death. 5 men knelt on it now, their wrists bound behind their backs, their faces streaked with dirt and blood. Their crime: treason, rebellion, a plot against the pharaoh's viceroy, Amenhotep. The villagers of Tadaru had no choice but to watch. Soldiers had swept through the homes and fields that morning, driving everyone, men, women, children, the elderly, into the city square like cattle. They stood now, shoulder to shoulder, under the blazing sun, silent and tense. Mothers clutched their children close. The men kept their heads bowed, fists clenched but useless. Nayara stood near the front, her heart hammering in her chest. Her eyes were fixed on one of the men on the platform, Sadik, her cousin. Sadik, who had taught her to tie fishing nets when she was a child. Sadik, who had always carried himself with quiet strength, whose hands had pulled fish from the Nile to feed his family and neighbors alike. Now he knelt, trembling, his face pale and his lips murmuring prayers no god seemed willing to answer. Towering above him, resplendent in his gold-trimmed robes, was Amenhotep. Amenhotep moved with the grace of a predator, his falcon-topped staff tapping against the wooden platform as he stepped forward. His face was a mask of cold authority, his eyes scanning the crowd as though daring someone, anyone to speak. When he finally spoke, his voice carried across the square with unnatural clarity. People of Tadaru, he began, his tone calm but sharp. You stand here today to witness justice. These men, he gestured to the prisoners with a sweep of his staff, plotted against Pharaoh Sekhemkhare. They sought to disrupt the balance of Maat, to bring chaos to this land. And for what? Greed, hatred, foolish pride. The crowd shifted uneasily. No one spoke. Amenhotep's gaze settled on Sadik, and his lips curled into a faint, cruel smile. You, Sadik of Tadaru, do you deny the charges brought against you? What do you think so far? Well, okay, let me tell you where I'm going with this story, okay? Because I know that was a lot. Y'all are probably like, what the fuck? So, I'm writing a origin story for the queen vampire. Her name is Nefrahesha. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Her name is Queen Nefrahesha. So, the story, it takes place in two timelines. So, 1567 BCE in ancient Nubia and Egypt, but also Chicago
That is
2024.
crazy because before you even mentioned Egypt, I was almost gonna say this reminds me a lot of Egypt. So my dad's side of the family is from Egypt.
Oh, you have Egyptian?
Yes. Well, I don't know how much. I never mention it because I mean my skin is like light brown and so I never mention it. I always say, I say North Africa and West Africa, but I have Egyptian in my
Oh, okay.
bloodline. But when you started reading, I was like, why does this sound so Egyptian? And then you mentioned it before I got a chance to.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It takes place in Egypt, in ancient Egypt. So
Yes.
this ancient vampire. So what I'm starting off with is that there's this backstory to where there's this evil pharaoh named Sekhemkhare who is ruling both Egypt and Nubia.
Okay, I thought it was the Firaun. Isn't that the name?
Well, that's Arabic.
The
That's how you say it in
pharaoh?
Arabic. Yeah, Pharaoh. That's how you say it in Arabic.
It's the same person. Is that the same person you're talking about?
Well, no, there's been multiple pharaohs. There's all different types of pharaohs.
Really? I thought there was only
Yeah.
one.
No, I mean, no, it was a king. The pharaoh was just the king of Egypt. That was it. But the king of Egypt, there was all different types of pharaohs. There was like King Tut.
Oh, I have to ask you because I don't know. So does that mean like if the pharaoh died, then his son would have been the next pharaoh?
Yep, like
Okay.
Ramses. There was Ramses 1, Ramses 2, King Tut, And at times there was a queen. She was a pharaoh, like Queen. What was her name? Shit, I don't know. She was like, I think she was half Egyptian,
Okay,
half
because I know, like in the Quran,
Nefertiti.
I've only been taught one pharaoh, like, and that was by my dad. Like, he told me that there's been one pharaoh, and he's, you
Well,
know,
that pharaoh was that's in relationship to the story of Musa or Moses. But I
yeah.
don't know what particular pharaoh that was during that time. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but a lot of that story around Moses and whatnot, there's actually a lot of archaeological evidence pretty much showing that Moses actually never existed, that it was a fake story.
Okay, well, have you ever heard about the pharaoh that they weren't able to bury him in the ground because he was so evil that the sand rejected his body? Have you heard of that before? Or
Yeah,
have
that
you
just
read about
sounds like
that?
some. Yeah, that sounds like. I think I've heard something similar to that. That again sounds like something that like probably something in the Quran or something in Hadith or they're listen. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm not trying to be funny. Islam ain't nothing but Muhammad. He just copycatted other religions and just
Okay,
added his own
Quan,
twist to it.
I'm gonna tell you something, and I want you to listen to me. Like, looking at your facial expressions while you answered that question for me, it seems like you don't believe you don't believe that. And
Believe
I've
what?
grown about the Pharaoh. And I've grown to hear the story over and over again.
Wait. I'm so confused. What do you mean? I don't believe what?
Okay, because I just told you about the Pharaoh, and you were trying to respond to me with, oh, I'm gonna be honest, this is not real. And I don't
No,
believe that.
pharaohs existed. Pharaohs existed. They existed, but what I'm saying is, in context of like the myth making around the particular pharaoh that is mentioned in the Bible and the Quran that dealt with Moses or Musa, that that whole entire story doesn't actually align with ancient Egyptian history. Like, there's no real archaeological evidence that there was actually a man named Moses that actually existed during that particular point in time in ancient Egyptian history. Because you got to understand, ancient Egypt is one of the oldest civilizations. I mean, it's at least 5 or 6 thousand years old, and they had multiple pharaohs. They had their last pharaoh didn't go. It wasn't deposed until I want to say like shit when they got taken over by the Greeks or something like that.
Hmm.
But no, I wasn't making any particular face here. I was just, well, what I'm trying to get you to realize is, so I know you're a Muslim, you born. What I'm trying to get you to realize, sweetie, is that Islam is a bunch of bullshit.
It's not, baby. It's really not. I don't want to believe that. You know why?
Why?
And I know, like, once you start university, you start to explore so many aspects of the world. Because I was so sheltered as a kid and as an adult. I mean, as a high schooler, and then I got to college. I'm able to learn so much about the world, and I'm so thankful that I've got an opportunity to be educated, and I don't want to let my religion go. And I know, like, I'm not so religious as I used to be when I was at
Well, you
home.
can't let it go. You ain't gonna be able to let it go, baby. You was born and raised around Muslims. Your family is Muslim. You ain't gonna be able to walk away from that.
I
Well,
can't, and I,
that's the mob.
it's a
That
beautiful
you and the gang.
religion,
You and the
but
gang. That's a religious gang. That's what that shit is.
But I'm open-minded. I'm always going to be open-minded. Like I can
Open
talk to
minded of what?
anyone. I could talk to an atheist and I could talk to someone that is Buddhist and Christian and I think that's okay. But
I know, but what I'm trying to get you to understand now, listen, let me tell you something. Do you even know how? Do you know? You know? Listen, you do you even know how the story of how Muhammad even went from Mecca to Medina, and then from there went to Jerusalem,
I do
and
not.
then went to heaven to try to. He went back and forth with Allah to try to figure out how many times the
I
Muslims should
don't.
pray.
I'm gonna tell you quickly what the only thing that I know about Muhammad. The only thing I know about Muhammad is that God whispered in his ear what God wanted him to pass on to the next generation, and that's what he did. That's the only thing I know about Muhammad.
Really? You go. You need to study your deen. You need to study your. How I know more about your religion, and I'm not even a Muslim.
Okay, well, you were before.
I was for like I was a fake Muslim. I ain't gonna lie, cause I really don't even count that shit. Cause I'm gonna be honest with you, I was still eating pussy and pork
And that's okay. That's
and
okay.
smoking that
And you know
Philly
what,
green.
Quan? I know that I feel like
And
you
that's
love the
not how
religion.
Muhammad. That's not how Muhammad. He did not. He got divine revelation from the angel, Jibril or Gabriel.
Okay, tell
Muhammad.
me more about that.
So Muhammad, you got to understand, during this time, this was around 570 AD, and Mecca during this particular point, pre-Islamic Arabia was controlled by a vast network of different warlords and chieftains. There were warring tribes, right? And um, Muhammad was a merchant. He lived in Mecca, and he started as he got older to develop a sense of wanting to figure out how to, you know, get closer to God, or because he had been in. You remember, Christianity had already been around by this point, and Judaism, and there were Christians and Jews that lived in Mecca during this time in the Arabian Peninsula. So he was very well aware of the existence of these different religions and faiths, right? But um, if I remember correctly, I would just have to refresh my details. But Muhammad wanted to get closer to God or whatever. He wanted to know the truth. So he went and decided to go on a journey to go to, um, it was called Mount Hira, right outside of Mecca, the city quarters. And he went to a mount and he began fasting and praying. And he would take these retreats to this mountain. And one of these nights, while he was fasting and praying, that is when the angel Gabriel came to him and appeared to him. And that is, he started reciting the Quran to him. And that's the reason why the Quran is called the Quran, because the Quran means the recital. Because the angel Gabriel came to Muhammad and then would recite the surahs to Muhammad, and then Muhammad would memorize them and then go back to his home. At the time, he was married to his wife Khadija, and she would help him write down parts of the Quran onto parchment paper, and that's pretty much, he was just doing this back and forth until eventually the angel Gabriel told him that, Allah has chosen you to be the prophet, the messenger of prophets, the last seal of the prophets, and that you are going to create, you're going to bring back the true worship of Allah, the Tawheed. You're going to, and so, of course, Muhammad, he said, okay, cool. And then Muhammad, he literally went. and pretty much started going around proselytizing to people in Mecca, warning them about Allah. And he converted a few of his family members and closest relatives and friends to Islam. But the warlords that were worshiping these different gods and deities in Arabia, they didn't like it. They were like, no. And they chased him out and they drove him to Medina.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where he established Islam for about a good 8 years before he returned. He built up his army and then he came back to Mecca and conquered Mecca. And you know the whole story behind the Kaaba, right? That the
Mm-hmm.
Kaaba
Yeah.
was actually where Abraham came, and you know, but all in all, listen, let me tell you something, sweetheart. I know you want to believe it to be true.
Mm-hmm.
You have every right to believe it to be true. I'm just saying that, like, when you start corroborating some of these stories, both in the Quran and the Bible, with real archaeological history, it doesn't align because we have evidence that will directly contradict what's in the Bible, what's in the Quran. Like, even like people believing in what do you call it? Noah and the Great Flood. Like, there are people out there who are hell bent on trying to find Noah's Ark. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. You really believe? You really believe that God flooded the whole entire earth, but and then before that he told Noah to go and get two of every kind of animal on the planet and put them on a motherfucking boat?
And you know what, Quan? I'm gonna tell you something. I think this is the true beauty of life. The fact that we can talk about life and be so honest. Like you're being truthful, and I can accept that, even though it goes against my religion, but I can accept it because we truly don't know. We truly don't know. Like, I wholeheartedly believe in Islam.
But
And
we do know.
well, I don't. And it's so it saddens me because it seems like the more educated I get, the further I the further I let go of religion, and it's so sad. That's why sometimes I just want to pull
Why is it
back.
sad?
I don't know. I feel like religion is meant to keep us sane.
I mean, there's actual human evolutionary psychological reasons for this. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but there is something called the cognitive theory of religion. Like, the brain, we unfortunately, nature has predisposed us to being very superstitious and to see patterns and numbers as a survival mechanism.
Hmm.
And this type of bias honestly has predisposed us into believing in supernatural phenomenon that actually can it's just it's not real, it's not there. um, but what I will say is religion is very good at giving people a sense of purpose.
Hmm.
People who are religious tend to be less depressed, less anxious. um, there's also a community that comes along with being religious, but that's not because that makes the religion right. It's just that religion gives people a sense of hope and belief that, quite honestly, it becomes so ingrained in your psyche that you never question it. And so it's not really until you start decentering religion and you start questioning it, and then you start decentering it out of your life, that you do know people who typically start losing their religion. They do become depressed because they realize it was bullshit all along. There's real studies on this, but eventually some people make it out. People, I mean, you learn how to deal with what's called the nihilistic void, because you will go through a period of trying to figure out, like, well, what's the purpose of it all? Like, what's the purpose? Like, why are we here? Then, if there's no God, if religion isn't true, then why are we here? And the problem is the human brain has evolved always seeking out some sort of purpose or explanation for everything. And one thing that a lot of people are going to have to learn inevitably when you're going through this type of decentering or journey of deconstruction is that you're going to have to learn how to figure out a way of not always needing a purpose to
Mm-hmm.
just live. Like, just a couple of weeks ago, you was having the best sex of your life, but because of, obviously, to some extent, your naivete and also your religion, you probably also have a lot of shame and guilt for even doing what you did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, you could probably have guilt and shame because you were sleeping with a married man, but hey, shit. But there are a lot of people out there, they are enjoying their youth. They're having sex, and then when they get done, they end up feeling this immense sense of shame. It's actually a very funny joke. Is a very common meme actually. This idea that after men get done masturbating, they feel so guilty because they feel like their ancestors or a dead relative was watching them the whole entire time. Like that, and a lot of men have this feeling. Like a lot of men, they feel this huge sense of overwhelming guilt after they get done watching porn or doing whatever because they feel like they've done something wrong, that they were watching something that they should have never been watching. They feel guilty doing it. And a lot of that guilt is just deeply entrenched religious trauma because it's been conditioned into our heads from a young child that having sex outside the context of a marriage or a relationship is bad. And so now here you are, a teenager, 13, 14, well, 14, 15, 16 years old, and you're looking at pornographic material, and then it's a normal, it's a
Yeah,
normal thing,
because we've been
but
taught that.
you get this feeling of like, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong, and blah 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 blah, and it's crazy. I mean, it's but there's also good evolutionary reasons for this because at the same time, there's a compulsion that we have as human beings to try to organize around long